This is Morning Motivation for Educators on the Bee Podcast Network. Learn about all the shows at beepodcastnetwork.com. You'll hear from a variety of formal and informal educators who help put this podcast together. If you'd like to contribute your voice to the show, please go to morningmotivationedu.com to apply. I am Karen Dudek-Brannan. I was a school SLP for 14 years where I specialized in language literacy and executive functioning and also held various teaching, leadership, and research roles. Now, I am the host of the De facto Leaders podcast on the Bee Podcast Network, where I help school therapists, teachers, and administrators be leaders on their school teams, no matter their job title. When people think about therapy, a lot of times they envision a therapist sitting in a chair with their legs crossed and their hands folded saying, "And how does that make you feel?" This is why a lot of the therapeutic techniques when people are experiencing anxiety, whether we're working with adults or kids, focuses on expressing your feelings, talking about feelings, or even explaining what certain feelings words mean. And while this is well intended, it's not always the most productive thing that you can do. When we think about this from a perspective of neurodiversity and brain differences, there are many reasons that we might be experiencing anxiety or stress surrounding situations. If you are someone who has a difficult time planning, preparing, envisioning the goal that you're working towards, or even reflecting back to past experiences and thinking about how a past experience might help you think into the future. Again, these are all executive functioning skills. If those skills are impacted, whether you are an adult or a child, you're going to experience anxiety about new experiences that seem unfamiliar. And talking about your feelings is not going to build the skills that you need in order to feel less anxious about those situations. What you need are strategies that are going to help you create structure in your environment and help you to plan ahead and reflect while you're going through the activity so that you have a tangible strategy that's going to help you through it. And really the only way that you can get better at that activity or that task is to experience it. That's what's going to reduce your anxiety. So there are many times when people are sitting there and processing and talking about their feelings, what they need to do is move forward and take some specific action. One specific resource that I do recommend is a book by Britt Frank called The Science of Stuck. And she talks about how even with adults, we don't necessarily have to determine the why behind every feeling or emotion or sensation. A lot of times we just need to move forward. So I recommend that if you want to work on this yourself. And for kids, this becomes even more important because many times processing your feelings can be helpful if you have an adult who is motivated, as long as you're pairing it with tangible strategies. But when you're working with kids, many times they don't even have the language to be able to explain how they're feeling. So talking about that in therapy and asking them to explain why they did or didn't do something or how they felt in a situation is not going to help them have less anxiety about unfamiliar situations if they're coming about due to executive functioning issues. What those kids need are tangible strategies and supports in whatever those situations are. So again, they can move forward, build skills, and become more confident. And that's not going to happen by sitting in a therapy room and talking about their feelings. So we really need to reframe how we think about this and how we respond to feelings of anxiety and just feelings in general. Because sometimes if you have a traumatic event, you might need to process it with a mental health professional. But other times you might just need to move forward and get into some specific action. If you are an adult, you are in a position where you might be able to put some of these supports in place yourself and seek out resources and accountability and structure and practice certain experiences so you can feel more confident. And if you are someone supporting kids, then you can help to create those experiences and provide support and structure in their environment so that they can do the same. So if you are looking for information, about how school professionals can support kids in this area, I do have a free training where I walk through how you can be evidence-based and neurodiversity affirming and support students' mental and academic growth. So to sign up for that training, you can just go to drkarendudek-brannan.com/EF leadership. Whether we're thinking about how to minimize anxiety and feel more confident for ourselves, or if we're supporting kids, we have to remember that sometimes the best thing to do is choose some action and move forward. For more information about the relationship between executive functioning and anxiety, check out my free training at drkarendudek-brannan.com/EF leadership. Thanks for listening, and whatever role you have in education, we have a podcast for you at bpodcastnetwork.com. Who among your friends and colleagues needs to hear this message today? Please share it with them right now.